All right, hello and welcome. This is Rasheem of The Counter Narrative, and today we will be discussing digital activism where social justice meets social media. Today we have joining us several experts on different hashtag movements, and they are from Morgan State University School of Social Work Master's Program Policy course, in which I am a teaching assistant. To start us off, we are going to hear from Alice Dunton, and she's going to tell us about the movement You OK Sis. So Alice,
Yep.
I'd like you to start by go ahead and telling us a general overview of the movement and how did this particular movement get started?
Okay, it was started by Feminista Jones, July 2000, which focused on street harassment, it on Twitter, and it mainly focused on women of color who are harassed on the street, and it also highlights bystander intervention that can be of support to women who are harassed on the street.
What is bystander intervention?
Not standing, if you see someone who's in need of aid, or I guess in this instance, who's being harassed, you can step in, trying to make that person feel more comfortable by asking them like a non-invasive question, like what time is it? Or, in this instance, she noticed a woman being harassed by a guy who was trying to sell a mixtape, and the lady was walking with her son. She was pushing a stroller, and that didn't really stop the guy. So after seeing this, Feminist Jones, she looked her, she asked her, "Are you okay, sis?" And that's what kind of started the movement.
So the guy was being salesy. He was just trying to sell something.
He went beyond that. He was asking her, where she hang out. She declined his offer, telling him that she didn't have any money, but he just kept being pushy and, asking her where she hang out, different types of invasive questions. And that's when Joan stepped in and asked her, was she okay? And that kind of made the lady feel more comfortable. And it kind of made the guy upset because he felt like she was interfering. But
what is the overall objective of that movement, You OK Sis?
It's to motivate both genders to intervene in street harassment situations by engaging with the victim who's being harassed. She quoted that if you just talk to the person who is on the focus of the harassment, you're placing yourself in that moment and giving the person a way out. And it breaks up the situation and diverts attention away from the victim. Why not placing yourself in harm's way?
And what aspect, or what would you say is the guiding principles of that particular movement?
To focus on street harassment victims, giving them a voice and providing an opportunity to ask for help or anything, other people might need. It also encourages people to be more willing to intervene when they see someone going through street harassment, like the bystander intervention thing.
What if they're successful, if You OK Sis is successful, this movement that was started by Feminist Jones, what does success look like, or how does she imagine the world would be better?
It garnered some success. I don't know if you know, it was a case in 2015 where an Uber driver in New York City allegedly assaulted a woman. passenger in his car. By using the OK Sis hashtag, it brought awareness to the situation from Twitter, and it was posted to Tumblr. And after it garnered so much attention, the Uber driver had his license revoked, I think. So it already made some success, I think, in that aspect.
So with that, it's going beyond just street harassment. It's just basically like overall harassment.
Well, in that case, yeah, she used the you OK Sis hashtag, and that's how I garnered attention.
Okay. Do you have
and that,
go ahead.
And yeah, in that instance, yeah, when she used the hashtag, that's when it came to light, that that incident. So I feel like it was successful in that way.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any general thoughts on the movement from what you've read, from information that you got from it, or even experiences that you might have had before we go on to the next person?
I experienced street harassment. I don't like it. And I think it's cool somebody, finally, I guess, brought up the issue. I didn't even know it existed until I started researching it. And once I researched it, I started becoming interested in it because it hits it right on the nail about what I encounter and what other women encounter. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for that. I appreciate that bit of information that you shared, particularly as it relates to your own experience. A lot of times we do have everyday experiences that we have normalized and we don't know there's a movement around this. This is actually an issue that somebody is like making moves to improve. So next we are going to hear from Corinne Scott, and she's going to talk to us about Bring Our Girls Back movement. She's still here? Yeah. Corinne, you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, just start talking? Okay. So Bring Back Our Girls was a movement that happened like April 14, 2014. Basically 276 schoolgirls were studying for their finals and they were kidnapped from their dormitory by a terrorist group. Basically, they came up with the hashtag Bring Back Our Girls to promote awareness for the Nigerian government and like governments around the world so they can have help in Nigeria to bring back the girls. The movement was started by this lady named Abigail Ezekwesili. I don't know how to say it. She was a former Minister of Education of Nigeria and the Vice President of the African Division of the World Bank. She started the hashtag along with other Nigerian Twitter users and Nigerian Americans, which like finally caught the attention of people in America worldwide. Even Michelle Obama took the initiative to help promote Bring Back Our Girls by writing it on a piece of paper and taking a picture of it, and it went all over the web. So the objective of the movement is to bring back all 276 girls of Nigeria. Recently, October 16th, 2.5 years later, 21 of the 276 girls that were kidnapped have been released. So,
who has the girls?
Huh?
Who has the girls?
It's a terrorist group called Boko Haram or Boko Haram.
And why did they take them?
To have them like to work for them as like wives and marry them to other men who are like fighting.
Okay. And what are I guess the movement's overall objective is basically just to get the girls back.
Correct.
Right. Okay. What would you say is outside of the transformation, of course, the transformation would be getting those girls back. Do you know any other initiatives, any other organizations or people that are focused on this effort of getting the girls back?
No, but I do know that like other people took the initiative, like in the United States, to just like have rallies to promote awareness, to show that people support Nigeria. Other people use social networks to engage in the movement. They had like a petition to sign for other people to write to the petition to the government to just promote awareness and to help bring back the kidnapped girls.
Mm. And do you have any general thoughts on this particular movement or any personal thoughts around it before we move on to Brittany?
Other than that, it's nice to see that 21 of the girls were finally released. So maybe in the next year, before the end of the year is over, more girls will be released, since at least 2.5 years later, 21 were released. So that's a start.
How can people who might be listening, how can they support this effort? Is there an email that they can, or a website that they can go to see how they might be able to support this effort?
They can go to bringbackourgirls.org.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. And next we are going to have, and I actually forgot to ask you too, Alice. I'm going to get back to you so that you could tell us how people can support you, OK Sis. If there is a petition people are trying to sign, a policy that they're trying to get, raise funding for something, so that you could share with people, how can they support that information? Let me just get back to you right now. So how can people support you, OK Sis?
It's mainly on Twitter. I'm not sure if it's on Facebook, but it started as a movement on Twitter. So I guess they can follow her blog. I don't know if the hashtag actually has a page, but it does have people who share stories under that hashtag.
Okay, so basically share the hashtag and possibly go to the site if they have a site.
Yeah.
Okay.
On Twitter.
All right, gotcha. All right. Brittany is up next, and Brittany will be talking to us about the Say Her Name movement.
Hello, guys. The name of my movement was Say Her Name. Say Her Name is in memory of Black women and girls killed by the police. This movement was started by the African American Policy Forum. The leading lady was Kimberly Crenshaw. After doing a lot of research on her, I just really, really fell in love with this movement. Like everything she stands for, the word out. I kind of wanted to start off about the status quo, because I felt like I never heard of none of these women. Like some of them were big, but then like Sandra Bland, and another lady name that I found familiar, but it was like so many other women that you just never even heard of, not in the news, not on social media. So Say Her Name is to gain awareness through social media about Black women and girls being killed by the police. The origin of the campaign was to create awareness about the number of women being killed by law enforcement officers. The objective, I guess, would be just to gain awareness, and they came up with a couple policies for sexual abuse and harassment by police officers.
You mentioned that there was a lot of women named who you had not heard of before.
Yeah.
What was something else about this particular movement that you didn't know before, or that kind of surprised you? Aw,
Excuse me, guys.
no worries.
Let me kiss it. Mwah. You're welcome. Some of the statistics that that Black women were outnumbered by white women, yet hold up. Yet we account for 1/3 of the women being shot by police. That was a statistic that was surprising to me.
And what would you say are the two overall objectives of this movement?
The two overall objectives of this movement is to bring awareness, I believe, and to end police brutality and racial profiling against Black women, and to protect the Black women's rights.
Mhm. What are the like if this particular movement is successful, what would that look like in the end as the end result? If it's successful in raising awareness, and what was the other one you said? Protect Black women against?
Good job. To protect Black women's rights, because some of the policies, like I said, were sexual harassment policies, and like they were talking about using certain force on women in prison, and no, pregnant women in prison. But what would the transformation look like? I mean, I guess we would say safer communities. Black women are safe and protected,
All right.
and their rights to be heard,
Do you have any
and more awareness.
final thoughts or personal feelings around any more that you'd like to share around the movement?
Yes, I kind of want to definitely get involved.
Can you tell us about ways that you've discovered around how to get involved, and how can other people get involved?
Yes. The site is called aapf.org, the African American Policy Forum, / say her name, and you're able to donate money. They tell you everything about the cause, and whenever they have rallies or things like that, you can find everything on the site. And they can send you updates and let you know about everything that's going on with the campaign.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right. You can go ahead and mute now. Thank you for sharing about that particular movement. Say her name. Kimberly Crenshaw is definitely somebody that I have been following a lot and looking at a lot in my research, and just including her in my work on intersectionality, which is a term that she coined in 1989 about the intersection of race, gender, and a lot of times reference class. So it's a very particularly important movement. It's also something that she felt was important because everybody heard about Trayvon. Everybody know about Mike Brown. Everybody heard about Freddie Gray, all of these other Black men who had been assaulted by police. But there are a number of Black women who are experiencing assault by police officers, and we don't know their name. And they are many, and we don't know her name. So that was a lot of the impetus behind her starting that movement. And next we will have Laditra. As each person has their camera, I'd like to ask you if you could just kind of keep it still. If you could like prop it up on something. So Laditra is going to talk to us about Not Your Asian Sidekick. And
it's a movement that was started in December 2013 by an Asian American writer named Sui Park. She wanted to change the male-dominated views that society doesn't really encourage Asian American women in the household and in the public sector as well. She specifically mentions an argument that she had with a male relative in Korea. She challenged his opinion, and everybody kind of silently shunned her for having an opinion. And she felt like she should be challenged for her, the correctness of her argument, and not because she was a female challenging a male counterpart. So she wanted to start the discussion about treating Asian American women as equal counterparts to men. She wants to end prejudice against Asian American women as being, musically inclined, stereotypically quiet, subservient, and sexually inclined. She wants Asian American women to be viewed for that diversity and what they bring to the table.
Awesome. And is there anything from your review of this particular movement that surprised you, or any personal takeaways?
Yes. So I was reviewing a lot of the Twitter feeds about that, and it was just interesting that Ms. Park, she owned up to having an eating disorder because trying to fit in with the white stereotype of beauty. Some of the other people that responded to the hashtag were saying that they had issues with mental health, but were afraid to bring that forward for fear of being criticized by their community. Also, it was just one person says that women have to be smart and pretty in order to be heard. So it just made me realize that there is racism within the Asian sector, and it also made me realize that like the African American races dealing has some company in being discriminated.
What are some ways that people can support this movement?
Support the movement by not just assuming that all Asian Americans are from a particular country. We can be supportive also by just seeing a person by who they are, being unique looking for their uniqueness, and not assuming that a person that's Asian American is good at math or science, but really by seeing them just as their individual selves.
Thank you. Any other final thoughts before we move on to Bobby?
No, thank you.
All right, awesome sauce. So next we will have Bobby, and he's going to share with us Mr. Robert Holmes. Oh, Black Girl Magic. I did a whole show on Black Girl Magic, so I am ready for this.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I love that it's a guy doing Black Girl Magic too. So take it away, Bobby.
Yeah, I'm trying to challenge my own sexism.
Okay.
And be empathetic to feminism. All right. So Black Girl Magic was started by Kashawn Thompson. It of course was started on Twitter, the hashtag Black Girl Magic. Really, she wanted to challenge traditional forms of intelligence, of beauty, of excellence, and the standard, of what is intelligent, what is beauty when it comes to women. This is her way of celebrating and honoring Black women, and using this hashtag to show how talented Black women are, how resilient they are, and to celebrate the accomplishments of Black women. And she followed it up with a t-shirt line called Black Girls Are Magic, which you can go to our website and purchase a t-shirt. Thinking about getting one for my wife and my daughters. But yeah.
So if you could describe and put into words, if someone said, what is Black Girl Magic? How would you describe that? What would you say?
My mother, my grandmother, all the women in my life that, Black women in our community that do the impossible, that keep our communities intact. That itself, for the Black male to be persecuted, absent in so many ways, and for the Black woman to be able to hold down our communities, to keep our families and keep intact and keep our babies on the right track, that is magical. Not, whether or not she could bounce a basketball or, she had an award-winning performance in a movie, but just everyday Black women. And what I see through the boys, the mothers of the boys that I work with in Baltimore and throughout, that's magical to me. That's Black Girl Magic to me.
Fantastic. What would you say are the top 2 objectives of this movement?
celebrating Black women and challenging stereotypes of Black women. Again, going back to what is traditional beauty, you know, what is accepted in American culture as what beauty is. You know, particularly when we look at how, and I just can't say white America, you know, because, you know, to an extent, Black men are faulted for this as well, of how we over sexualize, how we exploited Black women in so many ways. I would say combating those stereotypes and, you know, and reshaping or reiterating what it means to be a Black woman.
Mm-hmm. How are some ways in which people can support this movement?
I guess going beyond the hashtag, just celebrating and honoring, not just sisters supporting and celebrating each other, but more so, you know, Black men learn to value Black women and honoring them and looking at them as counterparts. You know, I've been guilty of myself of not doing so all the time. I think it's incumbent upon Black men to definitely play their part and celebrating and honoring our mothers, our sisters, you know, the women we know.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Bobby. Do you have any final thoughts, takeaways, or surprises that you'd like to share about this particular movement?
No, not really. You know, just, you know, hey, Black girls magic.
All right. All right. Thank you, Bobby. And now we are going to have, who's next on the list? Justin. Justin Turner is going to talk about Solidarity is for White Women movement. This should be interesting right after Black Girl Magic. Talk about Solidarity is for White Women. So tell us about this movement. How did it get started? What are they about?
Well, Solidarity for White Women was made to raise awareness about discrimination of women of color within the feminist movement. It was created August of 2013 by a Black feminist blogger named, I think it's Makai Kendall. She created it as a response to like a male feminist named Hugo Schweizer, that he was bashing Black women on Twitter, and that's pretty much how it started.
What would you say are the overall objectives of this movement?
I think the overall objectives is to it was to basically to remind women that that feminism is a global movement and is meant to unite all women, just not white women, but everybody. A lot of it said, when I was reading, it said that a lot of times white, well-off feminists, that's what that's basically what the problems, they tend to their problems instead of tending to the problems of other feminists. So it's pretty much here to unite all the women and advance, and an advancement for the Black feminists so they can, you know, get their problems out.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that too, because it sounds like a lot of these movements are started by women, or started by different feminists, with Alice Dunton, who started the Are You OK Sis, Kimberly Crenshaw starting Say Her Name, and then Black Girl Magic movement, and then I'm not sure who started the Not Your Asian Sidekick, but it sounds like there's a lot of women seeking to upset status quo. So how do you imagine, if this particular movement is successful, how do you imagine the world to be different? What are they seeking to improve?
I think they're seeking to improve unity. Once, it doesn't matter your race or anything like that. It's just being a woman and making sure like the equality is both equal to men, basically. So I see it as women becoming equal to men, and they're just they're together and they're a powerful movement to advocate for women.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any personal takeaways from what you've looked at with this particular movement?
Yeah, I mean, I like the movement. I never heard of it, so this is my first time actually hearing about the movement. I think it's great. I didn't even know men were feminists. Like, so for the Hugo Schweizer, I didn't know men were feminists. So I don't know, I might become a Black feminist.
That's what's up. You know, Martin Lamont Hill is a feminist. Frederick Douglass was a feminist.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
It's just about the equality of rights. So I'm glad that you had that experience, and I'm glad you got that out of it too. Any other final thoughts before we go into Kamira?
No, my movement was started on Twitter, just like Alice's movement. So you can follow Miss Kendall's blog, and you can also just kind of search the hashtag, and a different post will come up.
Okay.
Stories from other women.
Fantastic. All right. So next we have Kamira. Is Kamira here? Kamira, are you here? No? Okay. So is Carrie?
Hey guys and girls.
Yay.
Hey.
I like that background. Your background is fly.
Hey. My new
so Carrie's going to talk to us about Yes All Women. So tell us about this movement. How did this movement get started?
Sure. So Yes All Women, unfortunately, started after the 2014 shooting at the University of California, Santa Barbara, by Edgar Roger. Basically, Edgar, he was very angry at the women on his campus because they wouldn't date him. He had a lot of like misogynistic like viewpoints about women. He had a lot of male entitlement. He basically felt like women on campus should date him, but he wasn't like, he basically couldn't get a date, and he was mad at women. So after the shooting, investigators found like he had like a whole bunch of YouTube videos about him just like going off about women not wanting to date him. He had a 141-page manifesto about women and his hatred towards women. So the Yes All Women movement started after Annie Cardi, a writer, and her friend, they were talking about the incident, and I think it was Annie, she started the hashtag, and so it was just one of those hashtags movements that started to bring light to the sexual discrimination that women face. So it wanted to shed light on like the prevalence and how prevalent and like problematic that discrimination women face sexual harassment, sexual abuse. So basically women will say their stories, share their stories via social media, and put hashtag Yes All Women. So one of the like the stories I read on Facebook was really moving. It was like the rape, like according to the police, because I had a short dress on, it was my fault. You know, I got raped. Hashtag Yes All Women. So it was saying like how problematic that these experiences that women are facing.
So when it says Yes All Women, I'm assuming that there's some women, like why does it say Yes All Women? What is that specific wording in response to? Uh-oh. Did you freeze?
Yeah, I think she.
Yep. Okay. All right. As that sorts itself out, next I think we can have either Genevieve or Janelle, whichever one of you want to come to that next. But one of the things, another pattern that we're seeing with these movements is a lot of times the movements are about raising awareness and letting people know, just about keeping people informed. Whereas, for example, Alice didn't know that, I've experienced harassment and there needs to be more awareness about this. Or with Justin saying, I didn't know that men could be feminists, or just any of these particular emphasis is like one of the primary goals is getting the word out. And sometimes that's the first step. And it seems like it's such a small thing, but sometimes it's really just about letting people know, because you feel like with a lot of these things, if more people knew about this, then we could get together and figure out what to do about it. Janelle, you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Okay, so I did mine on This Is What a Doctor Looks Like. It originated from Tamika Cross, or Dr. Tamika Cross, when she was on a Delta airplane. A passenger needed assistance, medical assistance, and she offered her help, but the flight attendants didn't believe that she was an actual doctor. So they didn't actually take anybody's help until a white male approached them trying to assist. They believed he was a doctor, but not Dr. Tamika Cross. So the movement's overall objectives would be to showcase that doctors can be diverse. They can be Black women, they can be any race, any gender, any shape, any size. Women, specifically Black women all around the world, were posting their pictures on Twitter and Facebook with the hashtag "This Is What a Doctor Looks Like," showcasing the diversity of the field.
Awesome. So to me, that speaks a lot to like misperception. It reminds me of I don't know if does anybody remember, there was after one shooting and people would post like basically like, this is the image they would use of me if I got shot. I don't remember. I think it was if I get gunned down.
If I got gunned down, yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And a lot of that has to do with like perception, and perception is can be very impactful. It's not just a matter of I look at you and I just come up with some conclusion. That could potentially save or harm a person's life based on whatever it is that you perceive. So tell us, what is the transformation that she's seeking, Janelle, with this particular movement to say this is what a doctor looks like?
Less judgment and less thinking of Black women as just CNA, GNA, or nurses. You know, Black women can be doctors, they can be professionals, they can be in corporate America, and not just assuming that they're less because of their skin tone or because they are a woman.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And do you have any personal takeaways from this particular movement?
The only one that I can think of is like people not really believing that I'm a grad student because I'm younger. But not necessarily because I'm a woman, just because I look young.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's like an overall resistance of stereotypes, right?
Yeah,
okay. Well, thank you very much for that. Next, we have Genevieve is going to come on, and she is going to tell us about. That's your hero music, Genevieve. She's going to tell us about Save a Dope Boy. And I want to just say this, Alice Dunton and Corinne, if you need to go, you can go ahead and jump off, because I know that not only did you present, but you listened to at least 5 people, because I want people who are on to not only present, but listen to at least 5 other people. So if you want to jump off, Alice, you can. And Corinne, if you want to jump off, you can as well.
Could you come back to me?
Come back to you. She said, come back to her. I don't think there is any. No, I don't think I can come back to you.
I think other people are trying to join, but it's full. They keep saying it's full. Something
So
like
it should be, that should have opened up some space.
Okay.
Brittany, you could jump off too. That'll open up a 3rd seat, because I think you listened to 5 people. So who are the people? I'll send them an invite right now.
I know Maria is trying to get in.
MAJ is her thing. You know her? No, don't say her email address over this. Hold on, I'll get it. Okay, Larry is there. Sean is here. Larry, Sean.
Hold on, guys. I'm trying to. All right, there you go.
Okay.
It wouldn't let me in at first.
It wouldn't, probably because it was full. I'm gonna send an invite right now to Maria. As soon as I get her email address.
Yeah. blue hoodie. In the blue hoodie? No, that was my little brother.
So if you are just joining us, we have talked with several people about their particular movements, and the ones that we've covered are You Okay Sis, Bring Our Girls Back, Say Her Name, Not Your Asian Sidekick, Yes All Women, Black Girls Magic, Solidarity is for White Women. And next, Genevieve, you ready?
Yeah.
All right. So next, we're going to hear from Genevieve as she shares with us about Save a Dope Boy. I ask that as each person is on, everyone else mutes. And if you are on, try to make sure that your camera stays still so that it's not moving around too much. And if a person is just tuning in, you are watching the Counter Narrative, and this particular show is called Digital Activism, where social justice meets social media. Now you will hear from Genevieve, and she's gonna tell us about Save a Dope Boy. So tell us, give us an overview of this movement, and tell us, how did it get started?
Save a Dope Boy is a for getting young men ready for jobs, like employment skills, and getting job ready through teacher, family, peer girls. Just help the youth projects that gives them like part-time jobs to help them get off the street and help the community in order to gain the skills for them to better the community. It helps them with job connections and having employable skills.
How did this movement get started? Is there a particular event or something that happened that caused this movement?
In Baltimore, they said they had like a registration, like it's a guy. I was looking for his name. I forgot his name, but he started, they have a website actually, is saveadopeboy.com, where they have most of their information, like with donating and referring young men that you see that you think will want to participate. It's in the city as well, in meeting a goal of getting off the street and getting a job or being prepared for one.
So their two main objectives is getting young men off of the street and getting them a job.
Yes, and to promote positive possibilities for them, to know that they are able to do more than to be on the street. They can have anything in this world other than just being on the street. In Baltimore. I don't know. They don't have it. They haven't really been doing it elsewhere other than in Baltimore. So,
what is the transformation that is seeking to have? Like, if this organization is successful, what does that look like?
Making the streets better and creating a better community, and also as well, like having young guys be able to, how can I explain it? Bring others as well together as a brotherhood as well. To have a support system other than, you know, the street, their parents, and as well as having their friends with them.
Okay. Did you have any personal takeaways from this movement?
I feel like it's a great movement, especially because I see a lot of, I was just talking about it the other day, see a lot of young boys that just don't know what to do other than to be on the streets. And it was like, I felt bad because I was like, you know, because I don't know Baltimore, I'm not from Baltimore. And you just see like young guys, like he was like 5 and he was cleaning my window. But it was just like, wow, you're starting this early. At 5 years old, I wasn't cleaning windows. Like I had it, you know, I had a good childhood. Like I wasn't out here working for something that was given to me. But it was like, it's amazing because he's doing that now, but hopefully, you know, he doesn't have to continue to do that. He has somewhere that he could go to, a program that will keep him from involving himself in the crime and all of that, that's drugs and all that that's on the streets. Having the outlet, basically.
For people who are interested in supporting this movement, how can they support?
Going on the website, you can donate money to the program, or you can also give referrals to anyone that you want to. And they also have community events, which they post on Facebook and on Twitter and Instagram. You just you type in the hashtag Save a Dope Boy, and it'll come up.
Awesome sauce. All right.
Genevieve.
Yeah.
The brother is Derek Jones, good brother of mine. He's the founder of Save a Dope Boy. He passed away 2014. Good brother. Yeah.
Awesome sauce. Any final thoughts, Genevieve?
No.
No? All right.
You don't even know my dilemma. I ain't even really here.
Yes, you are. All right. So we've heard from quite a few movements. Kamira, are you ready? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
Yes, I'm ready. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can. So now we will be joined by Kamira Morris, who will talk to us about Girls Like Us.
Okay, so Girls Like Us, it was created by Janet Mock, who is actually a transgender woman. And her article, her story, it became popular and received nationwide attention in 2011 when it was published in a Marie Claire magazine. And she started the movement after having conversations with younger girls who were transitioning or had already transitioned and were looking to have role models or wanted to become role models and also wanted to have a voice without being judged. So she started the hashtag Girls Like Us. And it actually started, the first time she tweeted the hashtag was after an incident in March of 2012, I believe, with Jenna Talikova. I think I said her last name right, I'm not sure. But she wanted to participate in a beauty pageant and she was told that she could not do so because she was not a real woman.
Mm. Okay. And what would you say are the primary objectives of this particular movement?
I would say the primary objectives are to connect all trans women, no matter the economic status, class, race, background, religion, whatever. She's trying to connect all trans women. She did state when I was reading about her, it's not a mandate for all trans women, but it is something for somebody who may be interested in it.
Mm-hmm. And what aspect of status quo would you say is she seeking to upset? Oh, your camera is something's going on there. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, what aspect of status quo would you say that she is seeking to upset?
I wouldn't say that she's seeking to upset any aspect of status quo.
Okay.
She did say in her article when I was reading about her that she wanted the hashtag to be geared towards the direction of love.
Okay. All right. And if this particular movement is successful, how would the world be different? What does transformation look like for her?
For her, it will look like more having trans women have more comfortability with having open conversations about transitioning and having procedures and what steps to take.
Mm-hmm. And did you have any personal takeaways from your research on this movement?
Just understanding the terminology. Some things can be considered, I can't think of the right word right now, but they can be considered offensive to the trans women community. She used the word transition a lot instead of saying transitioning. So that was something that I took away from it.
Mm-hmm. Could you tell us a little bit about, educated us on what are the proper terms to use?
Well, that was the main one. She preferred that people would use transition instead of transitioning.
Okay. Okay. And how can a person support this movement?
You can actually follow her on Twitter at Janet Mock, MOCK, and type in the hashtag Girls Like Us. And she said that you can tweet it also, and you will be included in a list of people who are supporting the movement.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Fantastic. So another term that I don't know if a lot of people know about is the term cisgendered as it relates to sexuality as well as what preferred gender are. Cisgender is I'm a cisgendered woman, which means I am biologically female and I also outwardly present and function and walk in society as a woman. Transgender woman means that you were biologically a male and you outwardly express as a woman, and also that there is a difference between gender and sex. Sex is biology, male, female, like animals are referred to by their genitalia, male, female. Woman is gender is more of a social construct. So those are some things to think about. Different movements have different terms that you probably need to be aware of when you're engaging, and when you're trying to help, you don't want to end up doing more harm than helping because of using the wrong term. Next up, we will have Larry Cook. Larry's going to talk to us about Black Lives Matter. And he's going to tell us why they matter and everything. And if you would like to, Justin, you've listened to 5 people, you can jump off.
Okay.
All right, Larry, tell us about Black Lives Matter. Give us an overview and then let us know how it got started. Could you put your camera up a little bit? It's kind of like you looking down at us a little bit. There we go.
Okay. Black Lives Matter was created in 2012 after Trayvon Martin's murderer George Zimmerman was acquitted, and the founders, they was upset. The founders was Patrice Colliers, Opal Tometi, and Alicia Garcia. And, they was upset about the fact that he was acquitted and that Trayvon was on trial for his own murder. They put him on trial for his own murder.
Say more about that. What do you mean by that?
That they placed him on trial for his own murder, meaning that I guess they didn't really get into detail about it, but they just saying that he was on trial for his own murder. And it was like, and I was kind of like, how can he be on trial for his own murder? And I was like,
okay.
I was kind of confused about that myself.
Okay. I will just say this.
So,
I think part of what it means when they say that he's on trial for his own murder is like they were judging his character to say, thank you, computer, to say whether or not he was deserving of that, or whether, don't laugh at me, Genevieve, whether or not he was deserving of that, like saying, oh, he had a hoodie on, or he had this crime, or he did this, or, like bringing up his particular character is my assumption. But go ahead, tell us more about the movement.
And so Alicia Garcia, she was watching it, and she posted on Facebook, that some quotes like, "Black people, I love you, I love us, our lives matter, Black Lives Matter." And then Ms. Patrice Collier, she shared the hashtag with Black Lives Matter. So that's how the whole concept came about of hashtag Black Lives Matter.
And what would you say are their primary principles of that movement, or the primary objectives of that movement?
Their principles, where did I put that at? Where did I put their principles? Hold up, I gotta. I just had it with their principles. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. But you know, I'm all over the place. Their objectives are to build connection between Black people and our allies to fight, you know, racism, and to spark dialogue among Black people, and to facilitate the types of connection necessary to encourage social action and engagement. And some of those plans I have is broken windows policies, which aggressively policies minor crimes and attempts to stop larger ones. Oversight for misconduct rather than having police decide what consequences officers face. Making standards for reporting police use of deadly force. Requiring officers to wear body cameras. Providing more training for police officers. And ending profit policy practices.
Mm-hmm. If they are successful, what does success look like for that organization?
Well, they want, for success, they want all lives to matter. You know, they want all lives to matter and to live in a true democracy. You know, where though everything is equal and satisfying to all people, not just Black, but all people, all lives.
Did you have any personal takeaways from looking into this movement?
Any particular what?
Personal takeaways.
What you mean by
personal thoughts? Like your personal thoughts on the movement or things that you learned?
Well, I learned a lot reading and doing research on it, that you know, ways is that, you know, they were doing a good job, and they are the most thought. Where is it? Oh my goodness, they are social media. Let me see. I got my papers all over the place because they are the largest social media movement aspect of the movement. And
okay,
you know, they pretty, you know, they pretty big, and they doing a good job of changing a lot of policies and getting a lot of things done.
Mm-hmm. How can somebody support this movement?
Well, they have chapters all over the country, and you can go to Black Lives Matter headquarters and
Black Lives Matter headquarters online or in person?
Yeah, online, and they will give you a chapter. You can, you know, it depends on what state you're in or city.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for that. Yeah, Black Lives Matter is one of the most talked about ones. It's the ones that's getting a lot of media coverage. Next, I think we're either going to have Maria or Sean, whichever one of them wants to come up to bat first. But so many of these movements and a lot of the ones that we've heard about are starting because something happened, something occurred that sparked. And it started on social media. And one of the things that that Larry brought up is, although it started on social media, they've already been impacting policy. That's how you go from social media to actual social justice, boots on the ground movement, and having some transformation and some things happen. So next we'll hear from Maria Jones, and she'll be talking to us about One Baltimore. All right.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Could you pull up the yep, there we go.
Okay. I just had to sit up. Sorry. Hi everyone. So One Baltimore was founded right after the death of Freddie Gray. I believe it was day 7 after the riots. Mayor Blake she was in the middle of North and Pennsylvania Avenue, and she announced that they were coming up with One Baltimore, which is pretty much the community, the businesses, our elected officials. So everyone is teaming together, and they're trying to build up the youth. So they're pretty much trying to get Baltimore to be looked at, the city to be what is the word I'm looking for? To be all tied together and not use our statuses, like where we live at, to determine how healthy we are or what jobs we can get, how safe. So they just want the whole Baltimore to be considered one. So that's what they were working towards.
Okay.
Try to eliminate like the injustices that we have here.
So this movement sounds like it's a little bit different, as in like it didn't start online. It started after Freddie Gray, and it's actually with like a more prominent figure making an announcement that this is kind of something that we're going to do, like making Baltimore one, but taking many to make one is what it sounds like.
Right.
What is the transformation? Like I actually hear some of the transformation, like from what you're saying, the transformation would be that this zip code doesn't have better health outcomes than this zip code.
Right.
Or
so that's what they did. Each community, they took the number of whites, the number of blacks, different crimes. They looked at different aspects of it, and then they got with the businesses so that, of course, for finance reasons, and just so that everyone could have their input. And they want pretty much like the youth to be able to work in different areas, not be restricted to certain communities because how much their parents make.
Did you have any personal takeaways from what you looked into on this movement?
I thought it was actually a great idea. I had no clue that this was even a movement. And then I didn't know. The only thing I didn't know and couldn't find out, like what is actually happening today, what has happened, what changes are made as of like right now. I don't know of any differences, and I couldn't actually find anything. I just saw just research on what they're doing to get to what they're trying to do. But
did you see anything around what specific businesses or what specific organizations were participating in One Baltimore?
I did. There were a lot of businesses. It was like women-based businesses. It was a lot. I think I listed a few in my paper.
Okay. All right. I'll just check that out when you. And how can a person support this movement?
The website, onebaltimore.com. They have it on there. You can volunteer from there. You can donate, and you can read about. They talk about people that almost anything that's going on in our city, or I guess in other words, like stars that are from Baltimore that are doing stuff for Baltimore. You can find that out as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much for that. Next, we have Sean Dunton, and she is going to be sharing If They Gun Me Down. It's interesting because we referenced If They Gun Me Down earlier, and one of the things that If They Gun Me Down looks at is basically like perception. When Janelle shared, this is what a doctor looks like, right? That's like all about controlling images. Or when someone else said, there was another movement that had, when Larry mentioned Trayvon being on trial for his own murder, like people had pictures, like you know, instead of showing his graduation picture or any other number of pictures they could have showed, they showed some stereotypical pictures. And it doesn't look like Sean is there, or she looks like she's muted. Sean, you there?
I think I am.
Okay.
I don't know about my picture. You can't see me?
No, I can't see you.
Well, how do I do that stuff? Y'all got all this.
You know what? Don't worry about it. But what you would do is you would hit the camera on your thing.
Wait a minute. Okay, let me see. Wait a minute. I saw the camera one time. All right. I hit it. It still got.
You did it. Do it again.
Did all right. Okay, did it.
Now
all
just
right.
Position it so we can see your face.
Position what?
Uh-oh, look like the grandbaby with you.
Yeah, I got that thing on my shoulder.
All right, so tell us about If They Gun Me Down. What is it? What is this movement about, and how did it get started?
Okay, from what I can read, I read about it was a guy, unknown guy in Atlanta after the shooting or killing of Mike Brown in Ferguson. He went on the internet, social media or Twitter, and started a movement with what picture will they use?
Mm-hmm.
And he used a picture of himself. I think he was smoking a blunt, I guess that's what you call it, and in his army uniform.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to get shot down or killed by the police, what picture would they pick or portray of you? And that's how I got started on Twitter.
What would you say is the primary objective of that movement?
I would say I don't think it's fair, because if a person is killed, why would you take his picture to make him out of a victim? He can have all kinds of pictures on social media, but you go search through and pull out the negative one, because I guess that's where they're getting the pictures from, the social media accounts, and put out the most negative one to make that justify the reason the person has been killed.
Mm-hmm. Right. What are the guiding principles of this movement?
One guy spoke, it's specifically about what picture will you use if something was to happen. If he was gunned down, there's another guy who spoke about it. If he were gunned, because he has a picture, he put a picture of himself in his college cap and gown, and with a group of friends. And they were like posing, making different type of hand gestures. So what picture would they use if he was to be gunned down by the police officer?
Now, so with this movement, using these different pictures, using a picture of a graduation or using a picture of in a military uniform, what is the transformation that this movement is seeking by putting these images up?
I think the transformation is, you should not, based on how I was murdered or killed, if it was at the hands of the police officers, my picture shouldn't matter what picture goes up. It should be what caused them to shoot me down or gun me down like I'm an animal.
Mm-hmm.
That should be what should be investigated, not what kind of pictures I have of myself. Because a picture can tell so many different stories, and you don't have all the accuracy behind a person in a picture that they take.
Mm-hmm. And did you have any personal takeaways from this movement?
Yeah, I didn't really understand. It was new to me, looking up this hashtag, but it was interesting because they do it over and over again, not only with the pictures, but in the media, they go up and dig out the most negative stuff about a person's life when they've been killed by the police officer to justify the killing of the person. And it had nothing to do with you shooting me down that particular day or how you killed me. My picture had nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm. And how can a person support this movement?
I didn't see of how a person can really support it unless you post. And most people were going to social media and posting their picture. If they had a Twitter account, which picture would they use? And that's what they would use, the hashtag If You Gun Me Down. And they would post different pictures of themselves.
Got it. All right. Thank you. I think everyone has gone. One of the things that I shared with the first group that was on, that all of these movements, one of the things that they all have in common is that it is about raising awareness about different issues that are going on. And a lot of these movements have been very successful. Oh, the little favorite fishes. Oh, sorry.
He's trying to wake up.
A lot of these movements have been pretty successful in going from just having a social media hashtag to actually being in action, to marching, to protesting, to getting policies in places. So as we're talking about policies and policy in this policy course that that you guys are taking, think about the movements behind some of the policies. And ways that when something happens, how it can not just be a moment, but how it can be turned into a movement, how to galvanize people over a sustained period of time. Also, the significance of having principles and key objectives, and not just we're all mad and we all gonna march and be upset together, but actually planning and organizing. And the ones that are able to sustain over long periods of time, they have an objective. They have some things outlined. They have a vision in terms of the transformation that they want to see in the end. And that is it. And thank you guys for a great session. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.